welcome to another Between the Lines. Al Travis at the historic Oliver Kelly Farms out here in Elk River. We'll tell you why, and we'll talk with Representative Smith next on Between the Lines. Welcome back, Between the Lines. Al Travis, Representative Smith. Thank you very much for coming out to the Oliver Kelly Farms. I got to tell you why you're out here, because I presume, seeing how we've shot at the Capitol all year, last time we were down in the St. Paul's basement. The first time I had Senator Hoffman on the program, I made fun of the fact that somebody in a bonding bill asked for $10 million to upgrade a historic farm, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. What do you got to do for a historic farm? A few cows, and I make my fun. It happened to be his bill. And he was live on the show, and he was very kind to laugh and say, you come out here and I'll show you what it's all about as soon as it's done. It got done in April, so we're out here. So when I called you up and asked if you'd come out and be on the show and then told you it's here, I thank you very much for coming out to the farm.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
It's a neat property. We'll do some videos in and out for the program. It's Oliver Kelly Farms. You can come here if you're a teacher for sure. Bring your kids out. It's a great day. They'll show you all kinds of stuff. But thank you for coming. Let's get to work. I don't understand. I want to know what your thoughts are personally on a governor line item vetoing the pay for you and your staff. I don't think I've never heard of this before. This has to be a nationwide first time a line item veto said, the heck with the legislature.
It's been done as a practicing attorney. I've looked into this a great deal.
Okay.
And it's been done a few times throughout our country, never successfully.
Okay.
It's never been done at the federal level either. And I think for the 240 years that our country's been in existence and 160 years for our own state, I think there's a reason why it's never been done successfully, nor in the other 49 states either. I think the court will quickly come to the conclusion that it is unconstitutional. The timing of which, obviously we can't control, and I hope it's soon. But we're in a very perilous position if the governor who doesn't get what he wants or she wants, that they're going to be able to just defund us, because the next budget, as we know, the House of Representatives has the power of the purse. Mm-hmm. All funds have to start there. So the next budget bill is not going to have money for the governor's budget or the governor's staff, or perhaps not the courts.
This is me, and I'm glad you're a lawyer and looked into this, because I consider myself a constitutionalist in that I believe the way it was written is the way we should follow it. Now, there's been changes, yes. I think women can vote. There are some changes to the Constitution I'm okay with.
Yeah.
But when we did things like line item vetoes in the state of Minnesota, we start tweaking things thinking we know better, and stuff like this happens. What would happen if the governor had not just decided to line item your guys' side, but the judiciary? So there would be no one there to then judge on the case. Did he just create a dictatorship with a pen that the legislature gave him 40 years ago?
And I think you're highlighting the point that that is very clear, I think, to everyone except the governor, and I think maybe even he understands this. I think it was done on an emotional basis, and he was very upset about what happened at the end of session, and he will regret it at some point in the near future. And he should fix this, and he can fix this. And other than that, if he doesn't, we'll be in court on Monday.
How can he fix it? Give this to me, because he's already signed the bill with that line item out. You guys, as I understand it, have to re-put it up somehow, a special session, put it back up.
Perhaps. There's a couple different ways. Okay. When Governor Perpich, this happened, Governor Perpich line item vetoed some spending, and he reallocated that, or he took back his line item veto. It wasn't challenged.
Say, how long would he have to undo something?
It's unclear, because we've never done this before.
Okay.
So if no one challenges it, then it's okay. Odds are probably that an interest group or two may challenge it, just because. But that would be one option that he could pursue, or he could call a special session and just have this item back on the in a bill.
But if he calls a special session, he can't tell you everything you have to do. He could be a gentleman's agreement, right? If he calls a special session, it's not deal with this one matter. That's it. He opens the barn door, and you guys can discuss anything you darn well please.
Exactly. And for the most part, those special sessions are pre-negotiated, and everything is all done, and you show up and you vote. There are some exceptions, and obviously, you never know what's going to happen when once the legislature session starts.
But this is, and I love you. I love the Senator Hoffman who was just on, and this idea that we could still manage it. Because here's what I want to ask you. He's in a room with the majority and minority leaders on both sides. They discussed what was going to go on, how this bill was going to come out. They presumably agreed, thus the reason the special session happens. You guys come and vote on that thing, and now he's upset to a point that he line item vetoes your pay. Are we not all grown-ups in the room? And my point being, I don't mean to be governor, but what makes you think that's going to change if the House majority and leader and the majority, they go back and they say, now what's your problem, Governor? Let's discuss it. He seems, the dog's being wagged by the tail.
Right, and you raise an interesting point that through these negotiations, every item was negotiated for. We approached almost nearly every issue on opposite sides, and we met in the middle, and we did that on 11 large bills and many other significant bills as well. Real ID is one of them, which I hope we talk about today.
Well, it's on the list, absolutely.
Excellent, yes, and so concessions were made on both sides, and then after the fact, now he wants 5 points, additional concessions on these 5 particular issues, of which he already signed into law. He's missing, and I don't understand why. I would love to ask him, why didn't he just veto these bills that he had objections to? We would have to then go back to the table and negotiate, and he would get some of these points, presumably, some of these issues back on the table. But he can veto a bill, and that's the normal process. Going to court, Minnesota expects more, and they deserve more.
Okay, then as we're just going to make this section all about the legality of this, so I presume it's the Minnesota Supreme Court, because this is at such a high level. This isn't starting down in Anoka County Court and then it's got to be. It is.
Yeah.
This isn't something the Supreme Court can't say we need to jump in.
They can, yes, and in the past, issues have gone to the Supreme Court, and for other issues not as big as this, and they said start at the lower court, so you follow that official process. And
how long could that take?
It could take a while, or it could take a short amount of time.
It took 3.5 months to get my speeding ticket to court. I mean, how long? I mean, you go 3.5 months to figure this out?
With all due respect, a little bit different issue.
Yes, I completely agree. My point is, it's not the fastest moving program on the judicial side.
But the lower court could decide very quickly, and then it doesn't need to go to the Supreme Court if no one appeals.
Oh, so in Anoka, I don't know, if Anoka County says, no, this is wrong, you can't do it, and then, okay, then the governor, I would presume, would appeal his position.
He could, or he could say, the court has spoken, I'm going to follow the court's order, and go by the district judge's order as opposed to the Supreme Court order.
In the meantime, as I understand it, that money that gets allocated is done on your side, on the representative side, July 1st or 4th, somewhere in that ball game. The Senate has some money left over. They just piggy bank, and they got some money left over.
Right.
What do you expect to happen? Start 2 weeks from now?
I think and the House has about 2 months reserve, and the Senate has about 1 month reserve. So I think that the issue is going to be resolved very shortly.
Then you really do believe that?
Before the funds are because we have people, we have partisan and nonpartisan staff, and we've got members and senators, and some are going through chemotherapy with their family members. Babies are being born, accidents happen. People have healthcare needs. So this issue will be resolved because the health insurance is a very important issue to many of us. And we know that because we've just gone through a very long national debate about health care. And so you can get health care now. It's very easy, and it's for everyone, unless you're in the legislature, according to the governor.
Okay. We got to go to break. When I come back, I want to ask you this real quick before we go on to the items themselves. If this happens, the judge comes out, judges come out and say, you can't do that. Does that just null and void his signature? Does it null and void the line item ability, or can they say you can't line item either of the other 2 branches? Can it be that specific? I got to go to break. It'll keep people hanging on as we're live here at the Oliver Kelly Farms on Between the Lines.
You have the potential to be amazing, to become something extraordinary, to see the incredible, to be the incredible. This is a place where creativity sparks opportunity, where opportunity leads to adventure. Here, you have the ability to become the best version of you, no matter your experience. Your chance to make history, to leave your mark. Let Bethany Lutheran College help you realize your potential. You're not just one of thousands. You're not just a face in the crowd. You are unique. You're a name. You're a talent. You are an individual. Here, you're more than a student. Here, you're a friend. At Bethany, you are anything you set your mind to. A place where teachers know your name and friendships last a lifetime. Let Bethany Lutheran College become your family.
Mediacom's high-speed internet means super fast speed for everyone and everything. So you can say goodbye to constant buffering when streaming movies from Netflix. Have the power to download HD videos and large files in seconds. And keep all your devices online at the same time. Call 888-SIMPLIFY today.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. Al Travis, Representative Smith. What district?
34B, Maple Grove and Osseo.
Okay, so not far from the Oliver Kelly Farms. We're coming live, and we'll get some shots of the farm to show everybody. It's fantastic. Come on out. So what happens then, and then we'll be done with this, but it's fascinating to me because it doesn't happen that often. If a judge says you can't, or it's got to go to the Supreme Court and they say, he can't just disband you guys by not paying you anything. Does that just go away then, or does the right for him to have line item veto go away, or can they say only for these things you can't line item veto?
They probably won't restrict his ability to have line item veto in the future, but they could remedy the situation in a variety of ways. I think the easiest, and I hope the way that they choose, one is probably the most common way, would be for them to say the funding is simply restored. They are canceling his line item veto for the funding of the legislature.
Okay, and you guys, it's a balanced budget. You have to have a balanced budget, so technically, he was putting that in reserve. I presume that money would still be there, so it doesn't upset the balanced budget. Okay, enough of that. But this is going to be exciting to watch. I got to be honest, from my side. Let's talk about what you thought did or did not happen well in the session, and I'll start with Real ID because you're the pony behind that whole thing. You got her done. Interesting battle, but you got her done, and I presume that's your glory point for the session for you.
I'm very proud of that bill. It was one of these great papers should be written about this bill and about the process you go through. There was 3 different groups that didn't like the bill, and to navigate this and to find a path.
Let me frame it, then I want you to give your end, because this is how the rest of us see it. I want my license to work. I pay the state for a license. You kind of think it's going to work. And it was 10, 12 years ago, the federal government said you got to do some other things because terrorism, whatever, right?
Right.
So I don't think about it because I'm just Joe Schmuckatelli who goes to MnDOT and gets my license. Yeah. You guys think about this, but until you get there, this is a train wreck waiting to happen. Come January, license is no good, Minnesota don't get on a plane. Frame it. Who's against having your license work?
The train wreck has even already started because the federal government is pushing all the states towards Real ID compliance. Today, well, up until the governor signed the bill a couple of weeks ago, you couldn't get into a federal building or a military base with our regular license because we weren't Real ID compliant. We weren't on the road for compliance. So the train wreck already happened. My office got a call every single day from someone traveling to go see a loved one on a military base. They can't get on.
So how do we get there? Frame it in that, how do you get 12 years in? We need these IDs.
Right.
What are people thinking? Who's against it?
There was a group of people that were against it for privacy reasons. They thought that the federal government was demanding too many documents, so we had to quell their concerns. Another group thought that it was an overreach of the government and it was a 10th Amendment concern, states' rights issues, so we needed to navigate that issue. And then also a group of people, and this was the largest one, wanted to use Real ID to give driver's license to people who were here in an undocumented fashion. Okay. And so I really was the champion of the average Minnesotan, as you described, trying to find a path for this bill so we can get enough votes in both chambers and get the governor to sign it. And it took a while.
So tell me how you did that. I mean, what do you give up? I mean, most of this is federal rules. You say that, this federal law is, well, that should be a federal problem. That should be a Klobuchar and Franken deal. You guys go figure that out. You can't push that on us, but you navigated this. How did you get it done?
Through some persistence and persuasion, and just working really hard on the whole thing.
And then what did we actually get out of it? Now, did the folks, the federal government getting too much for information yet? Those people still unhappy?
They're still unhappy, but my argument to them was, well, everything that the government wants from us, they initially gave us. So you need to give your birth certificate. Where'd that come from?
Yes.
You need to give your social security card. Where'd that come from? Yeah. So that's how those arguments went. It was a pretty quick one.
So tell us then what happens. My license I have in my pocket today, which was the old license that didn't work yesterday, I got to run back in before the end of the year and get it upgraded?
A couple of steps. The good news is today you can go into a military base or federal building with your regular license.
And how did you fix that? The federal government says as long as you're getting compliant, you're
Exactly.
okay?
Yep. As long as you're on the road, as long as my bill passed. So additionally, starting maybe second quarter next year, so maybe April of 18, you're going to be able to get a Real ID if you want one. And it's an opt-in program, which is great. One of the modifications needed. So if you want to get a Real ID, you can. If you don't want one, you don't have to. You can have your
Go to
traditional license.
military base, not getting in an airplane, doesn't matter.
Exactly, right. So starting roughly April and the date's moving, they're going to be able to offer Real IDs up until October of 2020. So then you go get your Real ID, regardless of where you're at in the
Cycle.
in the cycle, and there's going to be some pay modifications, some fee modifications there. So then when you get your Real ID,
Pay modifications coming from a representative. What does that mean, sir? Pay modifications. I love that
I meant to say fee modifications, yes. But thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that.
A pay modification, okay.
So then you'll be able to fly when you get your Real ID come October 2020 with only that license.
All right, it's fantastic. Congratulations, because I did hear you were the one who made that happen, and that people would come and say, "Hey, how's your family?" It was like, "How's Real ID? Where do you stand?" You were pretty persistent on it. That's fantastic. So good for you.
Thank you.
Other than that, what was the best thing that happened out of this session?
Well, I would say the second best thing was all the budget bills were signed, and we got a bonding bill and a transportation bill. $5 billion over the next 10 years without raising taxes. 40, a very large budget.
What did you get for your neck of the woods in the bonding bill? Bonding bill now, it wasn't modified from a year ago, as I understand it, except the Southwest Light Rail that derailed it, if you will. So did you have anything in that bonding bill that was delayed a year that you were looking for your constituents?
I don't look at the bonding bill as to what's for my district. I look at it from a global view as what's being done for the state. And we have an enormous amount of projects in the state that are critically important, really great infrastructure. The focus was on transportation, which is why I supported the bill with so much excitement this year, that we have such a need for roads and bridge repair and new lanes. And so that's really what the focus of the bill, and that impacts all of us every time we leave our house.
How about the tax bill? And I only say this because the senator that was in here, not thrilled with the money that went back in taxes, which aside, presumably that's not a shocker, I presume, but claiming only 21,000 Minnesotans got any money back, the rest of us all, get taken in this ride. Where do you sit on the tax? You tell me $650 million back or something?
Yeah, I dispute the characterization of the bill. I think it's a bill that really impacts Minnesota in a very grand fashion. If you receive Social Security, you're going to have a reduction. If you die and you have an estate tax, you receive a reduction.
Can we take these one at a time? Because the Social Security thing, I think most folks will find this fascinating. One of the only states that tax Social Security payments for the state, 5 of them?
Down to 5.
Okay, so now we're out of that. What that does is in the next 10 years, it phases it out. I don't know if it's 10% a year. I don't know how that works. But in 10 years from now, Minnesota will not be one that taxes their Social Security payments.
Right, exactly. And it shouldn't be. The Social Security should not be. People that receive Social Security, they need that income, and it shouldn't be taxed again for the 4th time.
Like I tell my wife, it seems weird that we'd send them a check and then ask for some of it back.
It does
Seems
indeed.
like a paper shuffle.
Which
Same thing with the service members. When I was in the service, I paid taxes. I'm like, you're telling me what I get paid? Just send me a check and then send some back.
And with the Social Security, 90% of the states have already done this. So they're pretty good barometer that we should have been,
Okay, so I interrupted. I just want people to know about the Social Security tax. I think most folks don't pay much attention to it, but now I think most seniors will be very happy with it. What else?
Yep. Also, there is there's the estate tax modification. So the estate tax exemption is going from $2 million to $3 million, which impacts a lot of our small business owners and farmers. A lot of them have assets that are valued a lot, but just like this farm, the value is in the land, and they're not able to gain any liquidity out of that. Having a family sell a farm to pay the tax when mom and dad die is just wrong. And this is the area of the law that I work a lot in the estate law. Yeah. And so I'm very excited about having that raised from $2 million to $3 million.
And is that just, how do I put it, either it's right or it's wrong to tax a person because they died? So is it just an incremental thing that if we can just get it to where it affects the least amount of people, we're happy? Because isn't that a yes or no thing? You should or you shouldn't?
Right, yeah, and the federal government has an exemption of $5.3 million, which I hope our state continues to move towards. And the majority of the states are at the federal level. And so I think that's the number that at least the federal government, and I think I'd be comfortable with that, where that's where we draw the line.
Okay. I've got to go to break. We're out at the historic Oliver Kelly Farms. I want to have enough time to talk some more bills with you. We'll do it next on Between the Lines.
You have the potential to be amazing, to become something extraordinary, to see the incredible, to be the incredible. This is a place where creativity sparks opportunity, where opportunity leads to adventure. Here, you have the ability to become the best version of you, no matter your experience. Your chance to make history, to leave your mark. Let Bethany Lutheran College help you realize your potential. You're not just one of thousands. You're not just a face in the crowd. You are unique. You're a name. You're a talent. You are an individual. Here, you're more than a student. Here, you're a friend. At Bethany, you are anything you set your mind to. A place where teachers know your name and friendships last a lifetime. Let Bethany Lutheran College become your family.
Mediacom's high-speed internet means super fast speed for everyone and everything. So you can say goodbye to constant buffering when streaming movies from Netflix. Have the power to download HD videos and large files in seconds. And keep all your devices online at the same time. Call 888-SIMPLIFY today.
Welcome back. Between the Lines, Al Travis, Representative Smith, and we are talking about, well, we're out at the Oliver Kelly Farms. I should mention that. Maybe you hear the rain or you see it. We're out here because they just opened up in April. Senator Hoffman made me promise I'd come out here and shoot for a day, and we're enjoying it. It's a very nice farm. Bring your kids out if you can as a family project. It's out here in Elk River. If not, they take tons of buses out here. The buses out here, and school's not even in session. Representative, thank you very much for coming on the program. Other parts of the bill that the session that you did enjoy that got done that you think will stick around?
I was very proud of the modifications I made to the American Disabilities Act bill. I had a bill in 2016, and then I had a second part in 2017.
Tell us what that is, because most of us don't follow.
Sure. So business owners are being hit by rogue attorneys who are having these frivolous lawsuits because their parking spaces are not wide enough, or the paper towel dispenser in the restroom is too high. These silly little things that instead of just saying, hey, business owner, please change this because I'm in a wheelchair and I can't access that. Nope, they file them with a lawsuit, which is really an extortion letter, and they say, pay me $5,000 or I'm taking you to court. And then, to mitigate the cost, the business owner just pays them. So we needed to shut that down. That is absolutely unacceptable. Our citizens of our state and the disabled community expects more. And it took 2 years to get the bill finally to do it, but we finally were able to do it.
And what does the bill say? You can't sue for
Well, you
that?
can't take away someone's right to sue, but you, when a business owner is identified in the proper way about something that's not compliant, they have 60 days or plus an additional 30 if it's winter to fix it.
Okay.
So if you're given notice, if you don't fix it, then you can be brought to court. So it doesn't prohibit anyone's court access. It's just saying, let's focus on the real things in life here. It's the parking spaces and all that stuff can be fixed. Just because almost always the business owner is not aware of it.
Yeah, until someone brings it up.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this. On the way up here today, as I'm listening to talk radio, the city of Minneapolis is really ticked off because there's this whole bill about not letting cities decide themselves whether they should have $15 minimum wage or whatever they want to set it at. And where do you sit on that? Do you think that's a state business to get into Minneapolis' business?
I do. I think there's certain the compensation and certain benefits need to be uniform across the state. I think we set up one city against another. We pit them against each other. And in a big city like Minneapolis and St. Paul, if a business doesn't like the minimum wage in their city, they can just move a couple of miles outside the city line. And then you end up with a city that is losing businesses and losing jobs. And sometimes the minimum wage, it needs to be more flexible than that.
But to be a good conservative, wouldn't that be up to the city not to do that then? If the cities can learn I don't know if it's St. Paul can watch Minneapolis and say, wow, they've become a dust town because they did that. We're not going to do that. They've learned something. Does the state feel they're just smarter than your average bear and they can do it? Local control is not so good?
Well, I look at it where we have some laws, many of which, some would argue too many, I would argue as well, that are statewide.
Yes.
And I think these types of laws fit into that category. There are some issues local control makes sense. Some issues where there needs to be uniformity, where businesses know what their costs are going to be, whether they're in the great city of Elk River, the best city of the state of Maple Grove, Minneapolis, St. Paul, etc. And I think that we owe them that. And we all work for somebody. And these businesses need to have that type of structure where they can rely on, so there's not this type of confusion.
That's interesting. If I might, and it's going back and maybe it puts you in a box, was that the same when it came to deciding about smoking in restaurants and bars? I mean, that came up. 5 cities decided they've got it, the biggest cities in the state, and they wanted it across the state. And is that in the same category, or is that something else? Why would the state get involved?
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's what the great thing about our government is, that we have sometimes the state leading issues, sometimes cities leading issues, and the state needs to decide, just like the federal government does, as to what issues are going to be under their jurisdiction. And this is a good example. In regard to the smoking, I think we got it right where we have the statewide ban.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the honesty. Let's go with school funding. Were you good with that? That was a very big deal. The governor wanted, I want to say it was $350 million for pre-K or whatever, and pretty much got that. Are you happy with how the school funding bill went?
Well, mostly, yes. I sit on the Education Finance Committee, and I'm very excited about the bill that we have this year. Increased spending, $1.1 billion, almost 8%, 7.8% increase in spending from last year to this year, last biennium to this biennium. Okay. Now, it's commonly referred to as on the formula. It's 2% on the formula, but we're spending $750 million outside of the formula. So we're giving the schools perhaps the largest amount of increase they've ever received, 1.1 billion more. So it's really great we really are investing in our children, and we need to.
So you're happy with that. And one last, I believe, topic before we run out. The ability Sunday sales that gets started here, I believe, next month.
Yes.
And is that pro, good, bad, indifferent?
I think it's good. I've been a supporter of Sunday sales for the 3 years that I've been in the legislature. I think it's time that we allow business owners the option to be open on Sunday if they choose to. If they don't want to be, that's okay, but they can be as well. I think that the consumers really have asked for this.
And can cities do that as well? Can a city say, well, we don't want ours open? They still have that right to do that?
Yes, cities do have the local control on that.
We are running out of time, and the weather's getting bad out here. I thank you very much for coming on. I want to say thanks to Minnesota Cable Communications Association, Innovative Marketing Techniques, Bethany Lutheran College, MediaCom for all the help, and you for watching. Representative, thank you very much for coming on. Can I get 30 seconds in the box right there?
Sure. It's great to be with you today, Al. Thanks for having me on your show for the 3rd time. I really appreciate that. I look forward to the future discussions with the citizens, not only of my district, but also the state of Minnesota. Please continue to contact me to talk about past legislation, current issues, and any other issues that are important to you. Thank you very much.
All right. My 30 seconds in the box quickly is just come on out to the Oliver Kelly Farms. We've been out here. There have been nicer days than this, I presume, but they've been super helpful to us. I thank you for watching. We'll see you again next week on Between the Lines.
You have the potential to be amazing, to become something extraordinary, to see the incredible, to be the incredible. This is a place where creativity sparks opportunity, where opportunity leads to adventure. Here, you have the ability to become the best version of you, no matter your experience. Your chance to make history, to leave your mark. Let Bethany Lutheran College help you realize your potential. You're not just one of thousands. You're not just a face in the crowd. You are unique. You're a name. You're a talent. You are an individual. Here, you're more than a student. Here, you're a friend. At Bethany, you are anything you set your mind to. A place where teachers know your name and friendships last a lifetime. Let Bethany Lutheran College become your family.
MediaCom's high-speed internet means super fast speed for everyone and everything. So you can say goodbye to constant buffering when streaming movies from Netflix. Have the power to download HD videos and large files in seconds. and keep all your devices online at the same time. Call 888-SIMPLIFY today.